Alright guys, welcome back to Death from Above 40k. We've got a little bit of tactics and tips and things that I've learnt whilst playing Blood Angels in 9th edition. What you see in front of you is 1500 points of Blood Angels. It's what I've been using this edition, so I've got everything all spruced up, a lot of repainting and stuff, ready to go for a new edition because that's what I do. Bit strange, bit different. But what this gets you is at 1500 points. It's a battalion. You get 12 command points to start with, and you also generate 1 command point at the start of each of your command phases. So over the duration of the game, you have access to 17 command points. There's other, warlord traits and stuff and relics and things that can net you more command points, but we'll just go with that. Like 17 is a lot. That's 5 turns. You can be busting out 2-3 a turn, no problem. And it'll get you to the end of the battle. I've found by the end of the battle that sometimes I have a few left over, so I just try and do ridiculous things. So what we'll do now is, now that you know what the battalion gets you, what the points are so far, we'll go through each of the units, starting with the HQs, and we'll break down why I've selected them, what I'm using, and how I think they've gone so far. So what we'll do is, we'll jump into the HQs and we'll kick it off from there. Alright guys, here is my 3 HQ choices that I've been using. We've got Mephiston over here on the left, behind him Librarian Dreadnought, and then next to him, sorry about the camera blur, what is currently known as, or has been for a long time, as a Smash Captain. So what we'll do is, we'll start with Mephiston and go over what I do with him, why I use him. So, he's jumped up in points this edition, so he's like 170 points. It's like 35 points more, but don't bother me none. For that, you get pretty good. He's pretty quick. Like he is a 7-inch movement to start with. And for those of you who don't know, so the chapter traits for the Blood Angels is they get +1 to strength when they charge. And +1 to their wound roll when they charge, not strength. +1 to their wound roll. And they can also add 1 to their advance and charge. So that means if you're trying to move Mephiston around, he's got a minimum of 9-inch move if you want to advance him, and a maximum of 14 inches, and that's without using any psychic powers. He's got his plasma pistol. I don't know, that's up to you if you want to go shooting that thing off. I never overcharge it, because just it's up to you. Live your life how you want to. Every time I do it, he's like, fucking pow! And he just turns into mist, and it's no good for me. But he's pretty good. He gets 5 attacks. Now, with his weapon, his sword, the Vitaris, that's how I say it, that's how we say it in Australia, it makes him strength 10, AP 3, D3 damage. The good thing is, though, with Blood Angels, so you get your 5 attacks. Obviously, with Space Marines now, you get an extra attack for charging. Then when it gets to the Assault Doctrine, you get another extra attack for charging. So that's, once you get to the Assault Doctrine, his sword goes to AP 4, and he's getting 7 attacks. So now the next juicy part about him is his toughness 5, and he has feel no pain and 2 up saves. So that's as far as I'm concerned, that's pretty chunky. It's pretty good. The psychic powers I use on him is the quickening. That gives him 3 to his advance and charge roll. So as we covered before, now it turns into a 4. So he turns into a bit of a bloody little quick bugger. And it also gives him D3 additional attacks. So in the assault phase, he could be pumping out 10 attacks. Yeah, he gets pretty brutal pretty quickly. I give him Wings of Sanguinius as well, which gives him the fly keyword, and then he can move 12 inches. So it pretty much jump packs him up, and he can get around the board real quick. Move 7, then psychic power, move another 12. So 19-inch move. Then if you've got the quickening off, you got adding 4 to your charge roll. So it you can get to things really quickly. That's why at first I was just running him at things, and yeah, don't do it. He does die. He does have 6 wounds, however, so he can take you. He's got feel no pain, 2 up save. Alright. Next guy behind him I take is the Librarian Dreadnought. The Librarian Dreadnought is like a cross between these other 2 characters you see, because he hits like a Smash Captain, He takes hits really well, but he's also got psychic powers. And it's unique to us as Blood Angels. I just run him with the Storm Bolter under one arm, and then he's just his sword. Keep him cheap, keep him cheerful. He's a pretty solid unit. Like overall, he's toughness 7, he's got a 3-up save, 8 wounds, so he doesn't degrade in attack, that's a good thing. Like vehicles that degrade in attack sometimes can become nigh on useless by the time like you go to use them. Sorry, I'm flicking through pages if you can hear that. Nigh unusable by the time like you actually get them to where you want them to be. So he's got a weapon skill of 2, which is handy because, you know, he's accurate with his weapon. He's only got 3 attacks base, but as we said before, you know, you get an extra 1 for charge, and then when the assault phase comes along, you're getting 5 on the charge, and then he can also use the quickening, which is what I do. So depending on what needs to die, he takes Wings of Sanguinius and the quickening as well. So just beat sticks really. Now his Furioso Force Halberd makes him strength 10, AP 4, which is really nice. In the assault phase it's going to be AP 5 and it's flat 3 damage. Now I usually take this guy as my Warlord because he can't get targeted because he's under, like he's only 8 wounds. And I keep him in amongst the intercessors because moving forward, I usually give him Artisan of War, which makes it, you know, 4. And then depending, you can give him the Biomantic Sarcophagus if you want. I don't know, it's up to you. I wouldn't take it unless you're putting like more attack ranged powers on him. So that way, pretty much, he sort of stays back, and then I'm not throwing away Warlord or, you know, kill points or anything like that with him. And he makes people not want to go near your lines. Like he hits like a friggin' Mack truck. One of the other really good things I use with him, so you get the captain re-rolls, but now with the amount of command points we get, with him, a lot of the time I use Wisdom of the Ancients. What that does is pretty much gives him a 6-inch re-roll once to hit around him. So when he's walking along with the intercessors, I'm happy to pay a command point, use that on him. The other thing too is, depending on where you need to attack, you know, the Librarian Dreadnought with wings as well, that means, you know, he moves 6, 12 with wings, that's 18, D3 extra attacks, all that jazz. So you can pretty much have a flying Dreadnought that just smashes into things. It's pretty cool. Alright, next up is the Smash Captain. The Smash Captain. Mine is made out of a Primaris model just to fit the rest of the army. That's up to you. You don't have to do that, but I'd use Terminator arms to make him chunky. Pretty cool. So pretty much he is what he is. He's the Smash Captain. I just take him in this edition because I have to pay a command point to fire Overwatch. I don't bother with the Angel's Wings jump pack anymore. The reroll charges is still nice, but I find I can get him to where he needs to be. I keep him very bare bones. I give him the hammer, I give him the shield, and then pretty much the only other thing that I give him is, I think it's called Death Visions of Sanguinius, yeah. So pretty much it gives him the Black Rage ability. So he gets extra attack on the charge again. So he comes with 4, because he's a captain. You pay a command point for Death Visions of Sanguinius, and then he gets 2 attacks on the charge. So he's getting 6. Then in the assault phase he's getting 7. Now you can also, what I use on him is this other stratagem called Red Rampage, which is 1 command point again. It gives him D3 again. So you can have like him and Mephiston up in someone's grill, rocking out like 10 attacks each with like their, gets pretty crazy. Like you can do those sorts of things. That's what it's all about, Blood Angels, getting in people's faces and smashing them. So they're the HQ choices that I've got so far in the list. They work really well. A lot of people say, why do you take Mephiston and the Librarian Dreadnought? Because, son, that's how I roll. Now, the other reason is because having 2 Psychers in your list helps you to deter other psychic armies. Like, you can shut things down. The other thing, too, is both of these guys hit like Smash Captains as well. So why the hell wouldn't you take them? Alright, guys, we'll move on to troops next, and I'll see you in a minute. Alright guys, here's my troop choices. Simple, straightforward, but I still maintain these are the best troops choices in our codex at the moment. I have looked at assault intercessors. They just don't win out against these guys still. So normal intercessors, you know, they come with 2 wounds. They're pretty much a Space Marine with a few extra wounds and a few extra gadgets. The way I take them is I give them auto bolt rifles, which is pretty much a 3-shot assault bolter. So it's range 24, so it always fires 3 shots and you can run and fire it at a neg 1. So that means that each 5-man unit is pumping out 15 shots and can also run. So it just makes them really effective at moving towards objectives or moving forward to punch things in the face. Having all those bolter shots, and then they don't have any AP, but you know, when you get to the tactical doctrine, you know, you get a round of firing them off with AP1 and it's pretty good. It usually gives you a good round just before you get into the assault. These guys come with 2 attacks base, which makes them quite effective as well. So on the charger getting 3, the sergeant's getting 4. Now I put a power fist on the sergeant. Some people say thunderhammer. The power fist is a bit cheaper, middle of the road. You know, it's good, it's effective, you can smash stuff up with it. It's looking like now that power fists are just flat 2 damage. By some leaks that I've seen. We won't go with that yet. At the moment it's just ×2 strength, so it's strength 8, AP3, D3 damage. If they do make it a flat 2 damage, brilliant, spot on the money. So pretty much what you can do with these guys is the assault bolters, power fist on the sergeant, you just run them forward towards the objectives. They're really good. Get to whichever objective you use really fast. They're fast because, as we said as well, with the chapter doctrines for Blood Angels, they get +1 to advance and charge. So when you're moving them, they've got a 6-inch move. Then if you want to advance, they get +1. So it's a minimum of 8 and then a maximum of 13. So you're always moving between 8 and 13 to get towards objectives. So they're really fast. I cover the battlefield with them, no problems, no issues whatsoever. The reason I say that they're better than the assault intercessors or all others is purely because the weight of shots that they pump down the field. Like I said, 15 bolt shots per unit, and then even in the assault, they still get 3 attacks each, 4 in the assault doctrine when they charge, and their normal attacks still go to AP1. So why they win out is because it's the massed amount that, so if you take assault intercessors, they got a chainsaw that's AP1. That's fine, and they got a pistol. They're not doing anything while they're moving up the field though. You're just running with them. Whereas these guys are laying down a hail of fire. You can't compete with it. 15 bolt shots, and then they only get 1 less attack in combat. So you really got to weigh that up. All those bolter shots while you're moving around the field, and then you won't get 1 less attack when you charge. Granted that in the assault doctrine they'll have AP2 and they have AP1 on their sword, you know. It's neither here or there though, it's just the other thing you got to take into account is a lot of the times you'll have to sit on an objective to claim it, and at least with these guys you can still shoot. Oh my god, beg my pardon. I'm leaving that in the video by the way. Yeah, so if you've got to sit on an objective, you can just keep shooting at the enemy. It's much better. It's the best gun, best loadout, best troop. Say what you want in the comments. I don't care. Bulletproof, mate. Alright, we'll move on to Elites next, and we'll cover what I've got in there and why I'm using it. Alright guys, be back in a minute. Alright guys, for my elites, I take 2 Furioso Dreads and a Sanguinary Ancient. We'll go over the Sanguinary Ancient first because that's what we're doing. Get over it. So, Sanguinary Ancient, he's got a jump pack, which makes him quick, and he's got a 2-up armor save, which is good. So, as far as the Ancients go, I find him to be the best one. And with his banner, he gives units in combat within 6 of him reroll 1s to wound. So that's why I don't really need a lieutenant, because that's when it really comes into play. You put him where you need him, and you're getting with the captain, the dreadnoughts, all that jazz. you're getting the reroll 1s to hit and the reroll 1s to wound. He's no slouch in combat himself. So he's got a Carmine sword, which is pretty good. It's strength user, but it's AP 3 and it's D3 damage. Now, he gets three attacks base, but then, as we said before, you get the extra one for charging. Then when you get to the assault phase, you get another one again. So in the assault phase, he's sort of go to AP 4 and he'll be getting 5 attacks. He's quite effective. And also remembering the +1 to charge, the +1 to wound. Just bloody go Blood Angels, mate. Just got it all happening. But the key reason we take this guy as well is the banner is because the free relic that you get. I take the Banner of Sacrifice. It's always what you take. Pretty much what it does is units within 6 of him get 5 up, feel no pain. Now, when you've got things like your intercessors, they've already got 2 wounds and stuff like that, your opponent can actually end up trying to dump an absolute massive amount of shots into them and not doing much to them because they got the 2 wounds and the feel no pain. And a 3 up armor save. So, if something's only AP 1 or AP 2, 2 wounds, you're getting your 4 up, 5 up armor save, and then also you're getting your feel no pain on top of it. It makes them a real pain in the neck to remove. So if you've really got to hold an objective or something, you chuck this guy in there and then he can assist with keeping them alive, and also he can get into the combat with them, and he gives them the reroll 1s to wound. So he's really effective sort of all round. That's why he gels in the army, as you can see. Alright, next thing we'll go over is Furioso Dreadnoughts. These, I personally think, are the best Dreadnoughts we have access to. Once again, people, an Invictus Warsuit's not a Dreadnought anyway. And I do like the Redemptor Dreadnought, but as I said before, the one thing that annoys me about vehicles that degrade. So these things have 8 wounds, so they just stay the same. They can be on 1 wound and they're still at full effectiveness, which is really nice. Now, one of the key things that I want to point out with these guys is they have a movement of 8 inches, which is really good. So going back to what we said before with the chapter doctrine, if you want to advance them, they've got a minimum of 10 and a maximum of 15. So you've got a Dreadnought that can run 15 inches across the table. Pretty bloody good. Now, they're tough 7. They got the 3 up armor save. So nothing special. If someone decides to bloody really hit them with some las cannons or some ion accelerators or some bloody battle cannons, you can take one apart. They get 4 attacks. 5 on the charge, and then also in the Assault Doctrine, 6. Now, let's go through what I've armed them with. I arm them with 2 heavy flamers, so each of them has got the Furioso fists. I know they look like claws, but I just put the claws on there because they look cool, and sometimes I play them as claws. But the Furioso fists, so it gives them ×2 strength, so it makes them strength 12, AP 3, and flat 3 damage. Now, with the Furioso fists, you can also reroll your hits. So, you're running in there with 6 hits, you're re-rolling those hits, so you're probably going to get all of them in there, and then there's nothing in the game that you're not going to wound on a 2+ because of the +1 to wound. On the charge, you're wounding everything on a 2+. It's just the way it is. And they will be AP 4 in the Assault Doctrine, so you're just shredding shit. Now, you also got to remember, keep this banner guy near them when they run up an assault, you're going to get full re-roll of hits, full re-roll of wounds. In the Assault Doctrine, as I said, AP 4, flat 3 damage. You reckon stuff. You're taking things out. It's really good. The other thing is, the reason I run the 2 heavy flamers on them, the frag cannon's really good as well, if you want to run that. I'm not saying it's not a good weapon. But the 2 heavy flamers are good because it allows me to have the 2 fists to get the re-rolled hits. And you get 2d6 automatic hits. So when you run an advance, which is what you'll do if you're starting them on the board, like I said, you can get up 15 inches, and now flamers are going to be 12 inches on top of that. So you got like a threat range of, what's that, 15, can't mass, 27 inches, just burning shit. Now they're heavy weapons, so the AP2 turn 1. So even if they don't get quite into the assault range straight away, they're getting up in people's grill and doing damage. Alright, the next thing I want to talk about is the... I just had a blank moment there. But I'm back. Magna Grapple. What does a Magna Grapple do? A Magna Grapple adds 2 to the charge roll if you're attacking a vehicle. So you get your chapter doctrine and then that. So that will give you a +3 to your charge when charging a vehicle. So let's go into the next bit. So now in 9th edition, we've got strategic reserves. So what you can do is it goes off like a pretty much it's going to cost you 2 command points to put both of these in strategic reserve, or 1 command point to put one of them in strategic reserve, depending on what you want to do. But you got to think, you put them in strategic reserve, you come on 6 inches, you know, if you're fighting anything that tries to be a gun line, you've got a really good chance, because you come in within 9 inches, you've got a 6-inch charge to get to the vehicle. So if someone doesn't protect something properly, you're just going to come in from behind and ka-fucking pow. So here we go. So CPs to place into strategic reserve. We've got, for something that's 9 power level, is 1 command point, and then 10 to 19 is 2 command points. So these guys are 9 power level each. So 2 of them, 18, and so you get away with putting 2 of them in strategic reserve for 2 command points. If you want to run 3, it'll be 3 command points. I say run 3 if you want to run 3. It's up to you, but do it. Why not? So there you go. That's what I use them for. You can either start them on the field if you are not worried about them just getting smoked by long range fire. If you are, put them in strategic reserve and just run at things from the side. Just pow, pow, pow. Alright, so that's all the elites that I've chosen. There's no fast attack in this army, even though everything's really fast. So we'll go on heavy support and we'll go through why I have that in the army. Alright. Alright guys, last portion of the army, heavy support. What have I got? I got 2 predators. I got a Baal predator, because you should just have one because you're playing bloody blood angels, mate. That's why you should have it. And then I've got a normal predator with just all las cannons. So first things first we'll go over is now, vehicles don't suffer the penalty for moving and shooting heavy weapons. So this is back to the good old days of when it's like 5th edition. Blood Angels were just mechanised, just zipping around the board because they had a special keyword that made their vehicles fast, so they could zip around faster than other armies could and shoot off all their weapons at full efficiency. It's kind of like that for everybody now, but hey, I'll take what I can get. So what it means now is that these vehicles both move 12 inches, so you can hide them, or you can put them in strategic reserves, up to you. I say start them on the field, and then you can hide them, and then you can move 12 inches to get into position to fire them. So if there's some line of sight blocking terrain, I suggest put these vehicles behind it so the enemy can't target you unless they've got weapons, obviously, that don't need line of sight. But there's not too many weapons in the game that are going to mash your predators up when it comes to non-line of sight. There's a couple out there, but the majority of the things that will mash your vehicles need line of sight. So we'll start on the left-hand side with the Predator with las cannons. It's straightforward. It's anti-heavy shit. So 4 las cannons on it. It zips around really quick. I kind of keep it back as far as I can because it's got range 48, which las cannons do. They always have. They still do. So that gives you a 60-inch threat range, which most battlefields you're covering it. So the good thing is too, with the new rules around terrain, now that you can move 12 inches and fire, you can get into a position where you're not as obscured, or you can see the base of things and stuff like that, which is going to make you more effective at killing heavy shit. So turn 1, obviously the las cannons on this mofo are AP4 and strength 9, D6 damage. So pretty good at just wrecking whatever you need it to wreck. That's what it does. Then its counterpart, the Baal Predator, just all DACA. So heavy bolters, twin assault cannons, and storm bolter. Exact same concept. Moves around fast and just targets anti-infantry. Turn 1, all those heavy weapons are AP2, which is really handy for just carving things up and just getting around. So with these two, I've just gone with these because they're cheaper than the Primaris heavy versions. So I can have 2 of them specified to a specific job. Anyway, you get what I mean. And they get around the battlefield, and one's anti-tank, one's anti-infantry. And it's worked really well so far. So there you have it, guys. That's me 1500 points, me battalion. Hopefully you got something out of it. Feel free to say as much stuff in the comments as you want, and we'll duke it out there and discuss. Well, I already know what someone's going to say. Where's your Sangry Guard? Where's all the death company? They'll get in there, mate. Calm down. We'll get to it. Alright. Hope you enjoyed it. Too easy.